As I lay there in the recovery room, I decided after my bilateral mastectomy that I was not going to let this be the low point of my life, because being black, single, and a female in New York City was doing that already. Yes, I woke up feeling lucky, because a lot of black women aren't lucky, because we die the most from breast cancer. And I didn't realize that until I had breast cancer. So I decided that I wanted to save some boobs, because I didn't undergo breast cancer surgery to have lazy boobs. Because boobs can kill you if you don't have insurance or you have inadequate access to health care. Like it did my mom. My mom, 30 years ago, was laying on a gurney in the hallway of a public hospital for hours and hours waiting for a room to become available. And when I walked away, just for a moment, briefly, someone had stolen her wig. And at that point, it wasn't even a wig anymore. It was a matted Chewbacca toupee. So what I learned then was people are desperate for weaves in Brooklyn. But what I learned now is that my mom shouldn't have had to die because her boobs are black. So now it's game on. My doctor, one of my doctors actually told me that I had an old white lady's cancer, and I was lucky. And I was like, what does that mean, an old white lady's cancer? That it's non-aggressive, curable, and I'll look great in turquoise? But what it meant is that there are bad cancers, and that black women get the most virulent, aggressive types of cancer. And all that it takes to stop the madness and lower the numbers is a little awareness. If black women know that they are at risk, then we can really stop the madness. But I was like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? I'm just a lowly comedy producer. How am I gonna do this? But the thing is, when I was diagnosed, it was turbulent times. It was a summer of protest. It was George Floyd, and it was Standing Rock. And all of it was being amplified through social media. And that's when it hit me like a light bulb, like all the lights overhead in an operating room. Social media will be my megaphone. And comedy, I will use comedy to grab people's attention, because we don't like to talk about cancer, but we like to laugh. And I will use the power of comedy to save black boobs. And so I felt at that moment my mom by my side, and from that point on, it became Team Titty. So I began to take all my gear into appointments, the stands, the phones, the ring lights from Walmart, $16.99, I brought it all. And this flustered the nurses in chemo, because they had never had anyone try to do social media before. And everything I did, from my challenges to my duets to my wig makeovers, all it did was set off the alarms on my chemo pump, or make the bags of ice that they put on your hands and feet to make sure your fingernails don't fall out. That would just go flying on the floor. And the nurses just couldn't get it. They couldn't get like why my TikTok with Alicia Keys was less about self-indulgence and more about titty health equity. But all throughout this, my friends were like, go ma, yeah, that's a Team Titty offensive, that's great. But my family was like, why the titty, why the boobie, why the tata, And it's disrespectful. They're like, it's disrespectful to name your breasts Venus and Serena. I was like, disrespectful? I was like, things are not getting better for black women. I was like, when my mom died, it was a 17% mortality rate. Now it's a 40% mortality rate. So this is not disrespectful. These are survivors. These are GOAT. These are the greatest of all titties. But it was so important to document this. I was even like going after photographers who in the black community had large social media followings, like, you need to document it, you need to document this. Because black boobs need to feel good, black boobs need to feel seen, and black boobs need to feel proud. But nothing. So I decided to just take a photo of myself, a side boob, because I didn't want to scare anybody, And I wanted to keep it sexy. And I posted it. And I hadn't been having much luck with social media. I wasn't great with social media. I was like, I kicked my boobs into gear for it. But but all of a sudden I get, something in my inbox, and it's from TikTok. And they said my post violated their terms. And I was like, how did my post violate their terms? It had a huge "Black girls kick cancer's ass" on it and a million pink ribbons. How did I violate your terms? Plus, they went back in my history and they pulled down a duet I did with their top star, Charlie DeMeo, with me bald and chemo, and they pulled it down because that violated their terms. And I am fuming, I'm furious. So I scroll through the hashtag breast cancer awareness, and I come up with a woman who is telling her own cancer journey with big old titties, full frontal, but her titties are white. And you're gonna cut me? It's like, why is my journey pornographic? Why is the Black woman's journey pornographic? It's like, I was so disgusted. I was like, when is the universe going to hear my plight? When is the universe going to fight my fight? When is the universe going to love Black boobs? And I cry not for myself. I cry not for my mom. I cry for Black boobs everywhere. And then it happened. Months later, I stayed away from social media, but months later, I get a DM in my inbox, and it's from a young woman, and it turns out she's the exact demo that I wanted to reach. And she had just been diagnosed, and she wanted help. And I was like, oh my God, the universe heard me. And oh my God, the universe is on CP time. Colored people time. But it heard me.